Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Bourgeois Gentleman's Reading Room. If you stuck around from the first segment, we were talking about the Marvel movies, and we were talking about the DC movies and how those are inherently going to flop. We also managed to make an error. Marvel did pull a boss move, and when their trailer got leaked for Avengers 2, they did blame it on someone. They didn't blame it on Ultron. They blamed it on Hydra. Hail Hydra. Seriously, who doesn't love a skull with tentacles coming out of it? I know I do. I know I do. But just to move forward, last time we spoke, we were speaking about Wonder Woman. I touched on it briefly, but here I'm going to just talk about, because I've seen some people get a little bit huffy about the fact that in Marvel's Phase 3 slate, and even in Phase 2, which is, again, culminating with Age of Ultron, there is no Black Widow movie. Marvel's sort of in this catch-22 area, hence why I have this lovely #1 issue of Black Widow sitting next to me, which also, if you're not reading this, the film noodle art is amazing, and it's a great story, written by Nathan Edmondson. As you see across the top, it says, Agent, Avenger, Assassin. The reason you're not seeing a Black Widow series, in large part, and nobody will ever see it, is because the part of the reason you're never going to see this is because she's part of essentially a PG-13 franchise, and in order to do this series well, you would basically have to do this comic book series, and there's sex, and there's killing, and there's violence, and it's a rated R movie. It's a very gritty. It's a very gritty James Bond movie. Think of the first scene from Casino Royale, where James Bond is getting his 00 status. It's that, except with a woman. And that movie would be amazing, and it would be fantastic, only it doesn't fit into this PG-13 world that they created. In order to really do it justice, maybe they could pull it off if they did something similar to what they did with Winter Soldier, but chances are it wouldn't work the way it should. And that's a good thing. I'm actually happier that they're not giving me that movie, not giving me some watered down or crappy version of Black Widow. This way they don't damage their brand, and they don't damage female lead characters. Look, the truth of the matter is, people are going to show up to see Scarlett Johansson kick people in the face. She proved that with Lucy, which, by the way, was a really good movie. Go see it if you haven't. But that brings me to Wonder Woman. And again, the debacle that is Batman versus Superman. In this movie, you have 4 superheroes, at least to my knowledge. I haven't been following it mostly because I don't care. A large portion of this, you figure 15 minutes for Superman. You're figuring 15 minutes for Batman. Oh, there's Wonder Woman. She's going to take 15 minutes. And these are all just sort of introductions and introducing these characters. You don't need backstory for Superman, but you're probably going to have 15 minutes of alone time. And, there's definitely going to be a Laurie Lemerus showcase. No, Shao, there isn't, despite her being your favorite character. So you've got 15 minutes for Superman, 15 minutes for Batman. You've got 15 minutes for Wonder Woman, 15 minutes for Aquaman, who, by the way, does anybody really care about him? But that already puts you at, an hour? That puts you in an hour of screen time, not to mention you've got to introduce a villain, which is probably going to take you about another 15 minutes. Plus, you've got to introduce 15 minutes of them getting to know each other. All of a sudden, you're looking at a movie that's an hour and a half in, and you haven't even actually gotten to the movie. This movie, in order to be good, has to be 3 hours long, which, let's face it, if anyone saw Superman, it's not above anything that they're willing to do. But, Man of Steel sucked. It was awful. It was 3 hours of my life that I desperately wish I could get back. It was loud, obnoxious, and at times incoherent. And that's what this movie's ultimately going to be. And what ends up happening is you leave a bad taste in the viewers' mouths, so that the next movie, which is Wonder Woman, this super important character, this character who was on the cover of women's magazines, this character who doesn't need introduction, who's got a built-in fan base of people who don't even know anything about the character, but they know Wonder Woman. Every little girl, every mother, every daughter Everyone knows who Wonder Woman is. And there are thousands upon thousands of people who are clamoring to just go see this movie. If you leave a bad taste in the mouth of viewers because of Batman versus Superman, well, they're probably not going to be all that excited to go see Wonder Woman. They're probably not going to be excited to spend their money to go sit in a theater and go, meh. Which means this movie tanks. And if this movie tanks, it just gives a studio exec more of a reason to say, see, women can't lead films, or see, nobody wants to see a female superhero. If Wonder Woman can't do it, who can? There's part of me that wants to say, if you're DC, don't do it. Slow roller. Introduce her in Batman versus Superman, have her have a major role in Justice League, have her have a role in another movie, and then drop an epic film. Because in the case of Black Widow, you're better served giving me nothing than ruining that character. You're better serving the populace, your brand, and just women in general by not doing anything at all than you are putting out Drek. Because Drek gives people a reason to throw tomatoes and gives people a reason to scorn and say, see, ScarJo can't do it. Instead of, wow, man, that ScarJo is pretty awesome. Or, wow, who doesn't like Wonder Woman? In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, haters! Sorry, Shao wrote that, and I had no choice but to jump in with them. Haters gonna hate. But seriously, in my opinion, if I were DC, if you're not going to take your time with it, if you're not going to make independent standalone movies that sort of vaguely tie into a greater whole like Justice League, don't do it. Don't ruin the opportunity that you have. Don't ruin the chance to make a boatload of money, help out women, and, further your brand. You're better off doing nothing at all than you are making Drek. So that's my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Again, hopefully one day we'll get to see that rated R version of Black Widow. Hopefully you guys will pick up Black Widow. It's a great book. Love it a lot. The artwork's amazing. When we come back, we are going to talk about something that is super near and dear to my heart. Cliff Chiang artwork 1, which you guys have already seen. God, I love me some Asian men. And 2, comic books. So, hey, you guys stick around. Again, going to finish sipping on this Makers and Ginger, and we will be right back, Internet.